It is our 1 year birthday, our 1 year anniversary today. We've had 42 episodes in the last year. She Who Dares podcast is going to continue on. I have way bigger goals for this in 2026. I didn't really have any goals. It was just more about starting it and finding my rhythm, finding my voice, finding new things to talk about each week. Like, I loved that challenge. Welcome to the She Who Dares podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Wilson, the founder of She Who Dares. I'm a specialized breakthrough and mindset coach, business mentor, online course creator, and your number one no BS hype woman. I'm here to remind you who the fuck you are and reignite your personal power through powerful and expanding conversations on all things business, mindset, and energetics, to help you break through to your next level of success in all areas of your life, business, and bank account. Each episode is designed to expand your mind, shift your identity, raise your frequency, as well as give you success strategies to help you step into your highest, most powerful, abundant, successful, and magnetic you. So, I dare you to join me each episode, and I double dare you to implement what you learn and go all in on you. All in on your life, your business, your success. Because if you do, like so many of my She Who Dares clients and students, you will become everything that you know deep down you can be. Ready? Let's friggin' do this. Hey guys, welcome back to the She Who Dares podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Wilson, and we are back after a little teeny bit of a sabbatical that we very much appreciate your patience. I think it's been about 3 weeks since we released an episode, which is the longest break that we have had, I'm pretty sure, since starting the She Who Dares podcast. Which leads me to my next little announcement, which I'm so excited to tell you guys. Today, literally today, as you're listening to this, Wednesday, the 12th of November, it is our official 1 year anniversary, our birthday celebration since we started the She Who Dares podcast. And this episode today marks episode 42. 42 episodes in the past year, which have been so incredible. It's been such a great journey. I absolutely love podcasting. And what I love so much about podcasting and connecting with you guys in this way is that I just love that long form content and long form way of communicating with you guys. And the podcast really allows me to do that because I'm a talker. I like to share all the things. And there's only so much that you can share in a 90-second Instagram reel, and how many stories can you do back to back on Instagram? I mean, I like to push those boundaries, but that's why I love the She Who Dares podcast, because I can jump in here. We can have a long kind of form conversation. The only thing that I don't love about podcasting is that I don't really get to connect with you guys unless you jump into my inbox, unless you tell me the impact that the episode had on you, or you share via email, which some of you guys do, which I so appreciate. And I really am always thankful when I receive a DM or an email just sharing how much you love the episode or what you took away from it. Because even though I love long form content, podcasting with you guys, I don't often get to hear the benefits or the impact of what the episodes are having on you guys unless you reach out to me. And not everyone's like that. Not everyone's going to reach out. But when you guys do, it lights my soul and heart on fire. And so we are 1 year into the She Who Dares podcast. And, when I actually started the podcast a year ago, I just knew I wanted to release another podcast. I had a podcast in 2021 and 2022. I released 2 seasons of the Krystal fucking Clear podcast, which was much more of a deep insight into my life, my childhood, my family, more of a memoir. And it spoke a lot about generational trauma. And I shared my mum's story on that podcast. For those of you who don't know, my mum, trigger warning, My mum was sexually abused from the ages of like really young, like infancy, I think, 1 year of age up until she was about 12, 13 when she ran away from home. And she's actually a long line of women in my family who'd been sexually abused, and they'd all been sexually abused by the same man in my family. He had passed before I was born. And so that's just a really heavy weight and heavy trauma that has lived on in my family. And even though I wasn't sexually abused by this man, as a young girl, being the first woman in my family to not be sexually abused by him, I felt very much like my whole life I carried the weight of that trauma, and the trauma very much impacted my relationship with my mother because I'm her firstborn daughter. And after she had me, a lot of her suppressed memories started to come up. So there's a long story about it. So anyway, that was the first podcast that I ever did, which was called Krystal fucking Clear. And it was just such a beautiful moment in my life. It was not easy to record those episodes. Season 1 was really beautiful. Season 2 was a little bit messy. Long story around that. And I interviewed my mum privately, and then I did podcast episodes kind of just sharing this fucking traumatic story about my mum's life, which was so powerful and so incredible for her healing. We had family reach out that confirmed her abuse, which no one had ever confirmed her abuse. Obviously, she knew she was abused, but when she was really young, she took it to the adults in her life, and everyone kind of shooed her away and told her never to speak of it again. So it very much became like something that she had to carry, that she had to bury. And she's had such an extraordinary, hard, heartbreaking childhood and life. And it was an amazing opportunity to kind of share her story with the world. And when I did Krystal fucking Clear, that podcast, my inbox was flooded. It just blew up. It was such a big podcast. Like I never in a million years thought that. We did like 10 episodes, and I think it's got over 20,000 downloads just on the 10 episodes. And people all over the world were listening to it. It kind of just took over on its own. Like I never expected it to be as big of a deal. It ranked in the top rated podcast globally. I think we got up to like 50 or like 70 in the top 100 podcasts globally. It was wild. And so when I was doing that podcast, because it was definitely like a salacious topic, you know, it was like I was revealing, and I spoke my mum's abuser's name for the first time ever. Like the whole thing was just like very deep and profound, and it really got people's attention, and it got people's attention really fast. So when I was doing that podcast, my every episode, I think I released an episode a week for 10 weeks. My inbox was being blown up every day. Emails from women all over the world, women I didn't even know messaging me, like sharing with their friends, like women sharing their stories with me about their abuse, their generational trauma, like their family secrets. It was just wild. And then from that as well, then my mum and I both were interviewed by Zoe Marshall on the podcast The Deep. There was 2 episodes. There was my version of the events of what happened and my mum's story. And that blew up as well. It was just like this wild time. And so it's just super interesting having done 2 podcasts now, like one Krystal fucking Clear, which was like had hundreds and hundreds of people listening every episode. It still has people listening to it today, which is wild, to now releasing like a year ago. So when I finished the Krystal fucking Clear podcast, that really took a lot out of me. It was so deep. It was so personal. It was so raw. It felt like the rawest version of me served out to the masses. And it came with a lot of stuff. Like not everyone in my family was happy about that podcast. It caused friction. Me and my mum were on the same page, but she got really sick after it was released as well. And so I kind of had family attacking me about that podcast, like that, you know, my intention. It was just like a messy time. And so even though that podcast had such a huge and profound impact in the lives of people who listen to it, which is always my highest intention. And to be honest with you, I just really wanted to set my mum free. No one had sat her down and asked her story. It's going to be emotional. And no one had cared because it's just so dark and so traumatic that I don't think people want to listen. Not that they don't want to listen. It's like, oh no, don't go there. And I really wanted to be the person in my mum's life who like sat her down and said, tell me fucking everything. I'm here to listen. I'm here to hold space for you. And that in itself was an amazing experience with my mum, but she'd never had anyone ask her in that way and hold space for her in that way. And it was so freeing for her. Now, the type of abuse that my mum has endured is the most horrific stuff you've ever seen. Like, it's on the top end of the spectrum of trauma. So it's not something that she recovers from. Do you know what I mean? She's strong as fuck and she does her best every day to just like pick herself up, and she's made a beautiful life, even though all the odds were against her. So I think sharing that podcast was amazing for us as mother and daughter. We had a lot of healing to do in our relationship because her trauma absolutely bled into our relationship and impacted our relationship. So it was incredibly healing for us. It was amazing to give her a platform, and she just was so held and loved by so many people who listened. And for somebody who was told to swallow their pain, swallow their trauma, that it wasn't important and that she had to wear the shame of that, I think that was really freeing for her. But it's not like she's cured. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't really recover ever from what she's experienced, but I definitely think it had a really positive impact in her life. So that podcast, even though it was so popular with the world, it was really hard for us to do. It was not an easy journey. It brought up a lot of stuff. We had to have a lot of hard conversations. It triggered a lot of people in my family. A lot of my people in my family are really private, and I'm not really private. And so that alone triggers people in my family. Like, they don't maybe like the way that I conduct myself. They wish that I would kind of just shut the fuck up and not always talk about everything. But if there's one thing about me, I'm going to fucking talk about it. It's just who I am. It's like authentically my nature to be that way. So what's really interesting is that once I finished season 1 and then I did a season 2, which was a messy, chaotic, blah, blah, blah. I actually took some of the episodes down in season 2. It brought up a lot of stress to me having it out there. And I don't know if I've even spoke about this, but having Krystal fucking Clear out there in the world after all the episodes had been released and season 2, it weighed really heavy on me. I have many times considered removing it. Like, I feel like it served its purpose, and I have moments where I want to remove it. So if you haven't listened, you better start, because I feel like at some point we've grown past that now. I don't want to be known. It's really interesting. I feel like when I did Krystal fucking Clear, it became such a big part of my identity. It absolutely slowed things down in my business because all of a sudden there was so much emphasis on this story and this family trauma and this family secret that like my bigger mission in my business got lost. And so when I talk about 2022, the collapse of my business, I absolutely do believe that first podcast that I did that was so popular, Krystal fucking Clear, absolutely had a negative impact on my business. Maybe not so directly, but just the accumulation of it all, like what it was bringing up for me, like the family stress, like all of the stuff. And I felt like, even though I definitely felt like sharing that story was a part of my mission, it became bigger than me. It became bigger than my mission. And so I feel like my business and my actual mission of why I'm here got a bit lost, or maybe I hadn't thought it out very clearly. And I was just kind of following the breadcrumbs and following what lit me up. Because when I started Krystal fucking Clear, I don't think I really intended it to be what it ended up being, but it just kind of took on a kind of rhythm of its own and it became what it was. And so I needed a bit of a break from podcasting, to be honest with you. And I feel like I definitely had some residual fear because it had been such a big and popular podcast. And I did not want to talk about that anymore. It got to a point where I was getting opportunities to go on other people's podcasts and all they wanted me to talk about was this family secret, this generational trauma. And I was like, I don't want to be known for this. I don't want to be known for the worst thing that fucking happened to my mum, the worst thing that happened to me. I don't want to keep talking about this. And I feel like the podcast was so cathartic for me and my mum that once it was over, we were like, wow, we feel good. We're done. We don't ever want to talk about this again. But like everyone else definitely wanted us to keep talking about it. And that when we did the Zoe Marshall, the deeper, that felt like I had crossed a boundary for myself. I've never even listened to that episode. It felt like it was now being taken too far. And I just wanted to be done with it. So I took a bit of a break from podcasting. So when I say, God, this is long-winded, I do apologize. When I say I sat on the idea to relaunch the She Who Dares podcast, that's why I sat on it, because I had just finished 2 years of this mammoth podcast that was so beautiful, cathartic, traumatic experience. And there was just some residual feelings. So I didn't launch a new podcast straight away. I launched this podcast a year ago today, November 2024. And I needed that break. And what's super interesting about this podcast, now I feel like I'm back on track, like I'm back on my mission. I'm back talking about the things that I want to talk about, that I know are making an impact in the lives of others. And now I feel like I'm actually on track. Like I'm actually back on track with She Who Dares and the vision and mission and impact and why I started this business. And I feel like it got a little bit murky there for a little while. However, this podcast is absolutely not as popular. So that's really interesting, like navigating that. It's not at all a negative thing for me. It's just really interesting how Krystal fucking Clear was so popular. Like my inbox, every episode was flooded with 20, 50 messages, emails, it was wild. Whereas I've been doing this for a year, She Who Dares podcast. I've done 41 episodes, so 3 to 4 times the amount of episodes. I have way less listens every week than what I was getting on the other podcast. And I don't really get a lot of feedback. I do get feedback and I appreciate that, but it's not like this salacious podcast where people are like blowing up my inbox every week. I feel like it's more like introspective and you listen and you take away what you want to take away, you implement what you want to implement, and it definitely inspires people, but it's not like people are like blowing up my inbox about it. And so that's just really interesting, the different kind of rhythm of these two podcasts, and they're just so different. Like I can't even compare Krystal fucking Clear and She Who Dares. Like I cannot compare those. Krystal fucking Clear was absolutely rewarding, but in such a different way. But I think I'm just more on purpose in this podcast. I'm more about my future, what I'm building, my vision, my mission, and how I want to impact women. And I'm attracting a different type of woman to what I maybe have attracted in the past. So all of that feels way more on purpose, but I'm definitely not getting as much validation. So it's our happy birthday today. Happy birthday, She Who Dares podcast. And I know so many of you listen. And for those of you who do listen and tag me and inbox me, I want you to know that like every single one of those means so much to me. I always share that my highest value in business is impact. And sometimes you don't always know the impact that you're making. And so whenever you guys do let me know the impact that I am having on you, please know how much it means to me, because it's my highest value. And even though I love podcasting and I love having these longer conversations with you guys, I don't often get a lot back from it. Like I don't know who's listening. I don't know the impact that it's having. So with that being said, it is our 1 year birthday, our 1 year anniversary today. We've had 42 episodes in the last year. She Who Dares podcast is going to continue on. I have way bigger goals for this in 2026. I didn't really have any goals. It was just more about starting it and finding my rhythm, finding my voice, finding, new things to talk about each week. Like I loved that challenge. So I feel like we're having a little bit of a reset at the moment. It's why we took a little bit of a break. I think we're going to have a little bit of a break over December as well, mainly because I just don't have my editor and my VA are taking some time off. So we're just thinking about having a little pause, but I'm going to take that pause and be intentional. And I really want to think about like, what are my goals for 2026 with the She Who Dares podcast? I never set any goals for listeners or anything like that. I think when I did start it, my main goal was consistency on my end. I wanted to give this a really red hot go of releasing a podcast episode every week, even though we've had some little pauses here and there throughout the year from when I've been having a lot going on personally, like with our miscarriage, like we've had a pause after this big launch. I'm really proud of myself for 42 episodes in the last year. I'm really proud of those who are listening and the impact that it's making, but I'm going to think about, well, what do I want in 2026 for this podcast? So with that being said, if you love this podcast, it's our 1-year birthday, our 1-year anniversary. So shout us out on Instagram, tag me. I'll reshare it. Let me know how much you love listening. I would love to receive that message, because that also gives me like the validation that fuels my fire to go, cool, like what are our goals? If there's something you want from the She Who Dares podcast, each week, if there's a topic or a question that you have or something you'd love to pick my brain about, like please email us at hello@shewhodares.com.au. We would love to take requests for podcast episodes, podcast questions, or deep dive into topics. Or like if you want to know like personal stuff about my business or like how I run things, like I'm so here for that. I'm such an open book, but you guys have to like give me the requests so then I can action them for you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. I can't wait to see the magic that we create together in 2026. And there'll be a few more episodes coming out this year. Absolutely. We are just having a little break. I think it's from like the 20th of December to like the 20th of January. We're thinking about having a little bit of a pause, but catch us every week until then. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. If you loved this episode, be sure to share that with me by leaving me a review, and head over to the She Who Dares official Instagram account at She Who Dares Official, hit follow, slide into my DMs, and share with me the impact this episode has had on you. And before you go, I'm going to leave you with this. The universe is responding to you. It is following your lead. You are the one who has to move first. And when you do, the whole universe will move with you, because it's I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. That is our official She Who Dares mantra. I want you to write it down, put it on a mirror, and I want you to remind yourself of it every day. When I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. When you follow this She Who Dares mantra, you are going to unlock the magic of the universe, and you are stepping into your most powerful self. I can't wait to see you for the next episode. Thanks for being here.